Hi, I'm Sharon K Richards. I'm one of the team that brings you the voices of the community of spiritual masters and our off-earth allies on WeSeekToServe.com and ThoughtsFromAMaster.com. One of those off-earth allies is named Philohstan. He is going to be a regular speaker on WeSeekToServe.com, and he has spoken on ThoughtsFromAMaster.com. I find him absolutely fascinating inasmuch as he is willing to talk about the culture of his homeworld. So I asked him if he would please come in and tell us a little bit about the culture of his homeworld. And he agreed that he would do that. Now, Philohstan on his homeworld is a philosopher, a translator, and a teacher. He goes from planet to planet and takes the essences of the culture of his homeworld and finds the commonalities that exist for these characteristics throughout the galaxy. I would invite, please, Philohstan in to tell us a little more about his culture. Thank you. Thank you for having me come to speak. This is something that is near and dear to my heart and is very important because as peoples of the galaxy find out that there are so many commonalities, then some of the fear and the misapprehension can begin to dissolve. On my homeworld, we have what, compared to Earth, is a very simple structure, and it works for us. And that is what I would like to go into. We have what I have translated as rules, but rules here are very restrictive. And the rules, if I may use that word, on my homeworld are more like targets and next steps for spiritual evolution. And that is the way we use them. And there are 15 basic rules. And these rules remain constant. I will give you some examples that I think you can relate to. These are examples that, quite frankly, most can relate to, even if the exact wording is different. One of them is common and is very old for the planet Earth, and that is that you treat others the way you wish to be treated, the way you think that is right, to be treated yourself. That is one. Another one is honor the God spark within. And that is the God spark that lives within every being throughout the galaxy. It is a spark of the divine. If the word God offends you, think of it as the original unity, the source. And we each carry a spark of that original unity, each and every one of us throughout the entire galaxy. We have that spark. And when you honor that spark within yourself, there is a self-discipline and a self-respect and a self-spiritual growth. When you honor that God spark in others, then that speaks to the relationship you have with others. Now, we are not perfect, and I will get into that in a moment. So please do not get the idea that we are. So far, perfection hasn't managed to be expressed anyplace, to my knowledge. But I'm a philosopher, so maybe my standards are higher. I don't know. All right. A third of the 15 basic rules is honor creation. And this is where we can say that we honor the plan that the unity, the source, has developed, and the way that plan is expressed differently on every single planet, because the conditions are different on every single planet. Now let us get back to the fact that we are not perfect. We have these 15 basic rules, and they are core, and they are common throughout the galaxy, even if expressed differently. We have then 5 rules that revolve, and these 5 rules reflect the current stage of spiritual development of humanity. And as humanity grows spiritually, then these 5 rules must change to reflect the current times. And these rules cover such things as resolution of conflicts. As I said, we may have a rule that says we honor creation and we honor the God spark, etc. But we are still, in our view, human. And that means there are conflicts. So these 5 rules reflect the current times, and they continue to evolve. And we find this works very well. And there are 2 more rules. These are not used all the time. In fact, they are used very infrequently. But these are rules, you could call them emergency situation rules. These are rules that if there is an emergency, something that is totally unexpected, totally unplanned, and that threatens the 15 basic rules and the 5 rotating rules, we institute one of the 2 rules, or both of them, to bring sufficient structure to the situation that a resolution from the 5 rules can be had, and that humanity can move forward. These are our rules, and they work for us. And as I think you can imagine, there can be many, many, many exegeses given on these basic rules, and they must evolve with the times. I would like to speak about our family network, which is also a commonality that I see emerging here on Earth. Some of you have heard of or may know parents who have spoken to the soul of their child before birth. And they understand their past life relationship with this child, which may be many or none, and they can understand why this child is coming in and what this child's main function will be, main mission will be, and how they can assist. And this happens. Now, we have a similar procedure. Procedure is not the right word. We have a similar situation. I will let you find the right word. And that is when a child is to be born. The soul of the incoming, the soul that is incoming into incarnation, the spark that is incoming into incarnation, will spend time living in the heart of each parent. And 3 other people who are very carefully chosen. And what that incoming soul then absorbs from these 5 with whom they have contact is they absorb, I suppose you could call it unconsciously, subconsciously, the 15 rules and the 5 that are in existence at this time. So when this soul then is born and reaches the physical plane, They have already embedded within them the 15 and the 5. And this sustains them until they reach a stage of maturity where they can understand and appreciate and find their own path of comfort within the 15 and the 5. And that is the way we keep a continuity and we keep things fresh and current and applicable. Now, it is not my place to judge, but I will point out that in my investigations and my research so far on this planet, there are many of your laws, and you do have a great many laws. There are many of these laws which have outlived their applicability, but they have not been erased or deleted or whatever you do with a law that is no longer serving the bulk of humanity. If I would have one piece of advice from my perspective, I would suggest that some of these laws be evaluated as to how applicable they are to sustain the new civilization that you as human beings are laying the foundation to create. And as you begin building, and how many of these laws are really serving that purpose and serving you now. So I would ask that question. I look forward to working with you now that we, your off-earth allies, are becoming more and more open partners with the community of spiritual masters. I look forward to working with you, just as my co-workers do. And I thank you very kindly for listening to this message. I leave you, Philohstan. Thank you, Philohstan. Thank you very much.